The Princess and the Frog, an excellent cook. Tiana and her father James loved to cook. One night, Tiana decided that she wanted to make dinner all by herself. "What are you going to make for us, sweetheart?" asked her mother, Eudora. "Gumbo," replied Tiana. That was her father's specialty. He even had an enormous pot that he kept especially for his gumbo. Little Tiana sat perched on a stool, stirring, seasoning, and tasting. "I think it's done," she announced finally. "Okay," said James as he tasted a spoonful. "This is the best gumbo I've ever tasted. Eudora, our little girl's got a gift," James continued. "A gift this special just gotta be shared." And so the family decided to invite their neighbors to enjoy the gumbo on the back porch. Soon, the night air was filled with the sounds of clinking spoons, conversation, and laughter. "You know, the thing about good food," said Tiana's father, "it brings folks together from all walks of life. It warms them right up and puts smiles on their faces." When bedtime arrived, Tiana's mother and father came to tuck her in. Tiana leaned out her window and made a wish on the evening star. "But remember," added James, "you got to help it along with some hard work of your own." Then, thinking of the night filled with good food, family, and friends, he said, "Just never lose sight of what's really important." Tiana looked at the picture that her father had once given her of the restaurant he wanted to open. It was her father's dream to open a restaurant in the old sugar mill, and that was Tiana's dream too. She was ready to work hard to achieve it, with the help of the evening star, of course. Tiana's father gave her a kiss goodnight and then left her room. As he shut the door, Tiana looked out at the evening star. "Please, please, please," she whispered, "I will make our dream come true." Tiana promised herself as she went to sleep that night, and with that, she fell asleep peacefully, knowing she would have the courage to succeed. Sleeping Beauty, Sleepless Beauty. "Oh, there, little Aurora. There, cooed Flora, trying to calm the crying, fussy baby princess." Flora and her fellow fairies, Fauna and Merryweather, stood huddled over the cradle of tiny Aurora and looked down anxiously and helplessly at the Aurora charge. The three good fairies had taken the princess from the castle after the evil fairy Maleficent had put a curse on her. Perhaps if Maleficent couldn't find the girl, the curse would not work. But the baby had not stopped crying since Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather had arrived with her at the secluded cottage in the woods. "Oh goodness," cried Fauna. "What have we gotten ourselves into? We don't know the first thing about taking care of human babies." Flora gave Fauna a comforting pat on the back. Now, don't panic, Fauna," Flora said. "It may be harder than we expected, but this is the only way to keep the princess safe from Maleficent." Merryweather and Fauna knew Flora was right, so one after another they tried different things to try to keep the baby to stop crying and go to sleep. "Well," said Flora, "fairy babies are soothed by a sprig of dandelion root placed in their cradle. Let's try that." Flora hurried out of the cottage and returned minutes later with the sprig. She laid it at the baby's feet, but the princess cried on. "Perhaps she needs to be entertained," suggested Fauna. Fauna, and Merryweather locked arms and danced a little jig. But baby Aurora took to notice and kept on crying. As the fairies fought over how to calm the baby, Flora accidentally nudged Aurora's cradle, causing it to rock gently back and forth. Soothed by the rocking, the baby's cries slowly grew softer and softer. "Fauna," cried Flora, "you've done it. Look how much she likes the rocking," added Merryweather. The three fairies continued to rock the cradle gently back and forth, and soon Aurora drifted off to sleep. "Well," Fauna whispered to the others, "once the baby was sleeping soundly, that wasn't so hard now, was it?" The Little Mermaid. Ariel and the Seahorse Race. "Ariel," King Triton's voice thundered, "why would you want to sign up for the annual seahorse race? No mermaid has ever competed in it. It's for mermen only." Ariel raised her chin defiantly. "Mermaids ride seahorses too, Daddy," she said, "and Stormy may be small, but he's fast." "No, Ariel, I forbid you to enter the race," he said. "It's too dangerous." Ariel moped around the race course all week long. Her best friend Flounder tried to cheer her up, but it was no use. Then Ariel had an idea. "That's it," she cried. "I'll pretend to be a mermaid." Ariel swam around the palace looking for a racing uniform and helmet. On the morning of the competition, Ariel hid with Stormy near the starting line, her tail swishing back and forth nervously. When everyone was in position, a spark shot out of the tip of King Triton's trident. The race was on. The racers steered their seahorses through the water at breakneck speed. When they reached the coral reef, many of the more powerful seahorses could not fit through and had to swim around. But Stormy was small, and Ariel was brave. They zipped in and out of the spiky coral. It was not long before they were in the lead. Stormy whipped around the next turn, but this time he was going too fast. Ariel's helmet hit the coral and popped off. Her long red hair streamed out behind her. The whole kingdom could see them now. The crowd gasped as they recognized King Triton's daughter. Ariel and Stormy crossed the finish line first. Ariel smiled broadly and waved. Then she caught sight of her father. He looked angry. Ariel nervously steered Stormy towards the royal box. There stood King Triton, holding the gleaming trophy. Daddy, Ariel began, but she didn't finish because King Triton hugged her tightly. Oh, Ariel, I'm sorry, he said. I had forgotten how much fun racing could be. Will you forgive me? Ariel nodded. Then proudly King Triton handed his daughter, the first mermaid ever to win the annual seahorse race, her trophy. Cinderella of Mice and Rice. Cinderella, help! Shrieked Drizella. Cinderella dropped the broom she was holding and rushed down the hallway. What is it, stepsisters? She called. We're stuck, yelled Anastasia. Cinderella hurried to the parlor. She barely managed to suppress a giggle at what she saw. Her two stepsisters were stuck in the doorway. So hasty had they both been to leave the room first. With a bit of tugging and pulling, Cinderella managed to get the sisters unwedged. Smiling to herself, she headed back toward the kitchen. Meow, came a cry. What on earth? Said Cinderella. She hurried into the kitchen. Lucifer the cat was howling at the top of his lungs. What's the matter, Lucifer? She said, running over to the fat feline. Oh, you silly thing. You got yourself stuck too. Cinderella laughed and tugged him out of the mouse hole he had wedged his paw into. With a hearty look at Cinderella, the cat strode away. Cinderella peeked into the tiny mouse hole. The mice crept cautiously forward. You little dears, Cinderella said softly. Why are you all shaking up? Well, do you know what I do when I feel sad or afraid? I find happiness in my dreams. She picked up her broom. You see this broom? I like to pretend it's a handsome prince and the two of us are dancing together. Suddenly the mice dashed for their hole. Someone was coming. It was Cinderella's stepsisters. What on earth are you doing, Cinderella? Asked Drizella. I was just, sweeping. Cinderella replied quietly, blushing. Well, you looked as though you were having too much fun doing it, snapped Anastasia. Then a nasty smile appeared on her face. Picking up a bowl of rice from the table, she dumped it onto the floor. Perhaps you need something else to sweep, she said, and with a mean laugh, the two sisters left. Cinderella's mouse friend rushed out and began to pick up the grains of rice. Cinderella smiled. You know, she said, I think we'll be just fine if we all look out for one another.